So, let's back it up a little bit, okay? When we look in chapter number 13, the first few verses, God is basically setting a precedent here. And God is telling them that I want you to sanctify the firstborn. Now check this out. God wanted them to sanctify the firstborn after he had already delivered them from the death angel. Okay? So, and this is telling me, when God gives you a deliverance, that don't mean the story's over. That it's all said and done. After he had delivered them from the death angel, then he said, okay, so Israel, you're beginning anew right now. The month of Abib, that's going to be the first month for you. Okay? So this is what I want you to do right now. You're going to sanctify your firstborn. In other words, the firstborn male, whether this is of the donkey or the ass, or if it's of the man, it belongs to me. Kind of remind you of tithe, doesn't it? That's the first fruit. So the first, even your firstborn children, they belong to me. Your firstborn child, male, hey, he belongs to me. Think about that. Firstborn, male. I've already delivered them. Now, they belong to me. Okay? And not only that, but that which cometh out of the womb. Now, even of your beast. So this is not only of your family, but even of your property. Tithe. It belongs to me. What we should have nothing that's too good for God to use, and nothing that we wouldn't surrender to God. Because guess what? He delivered us already. It already belongs to him.
Already.
Deliverance, think about the connection between the word deliver and sanctify. Hello. What does sanctify mean? So he delivers us and he does what? Sanctified us. Set us apart. He delivered the children of Israel from Egypt and then he set them apart. Now, I believe it's in chapter number 13 and maybe in chapter number 12 that talks about how that which came out of Egypt, and I talked about this before, was a mixed multitude. A mixed multitude means everything that came out of Egypt with the Hebrews were not Hebrews.
No.
They were not all Jews that came out of Egypt. There was a mixed multitude. Now, let me qualify that. Let's talk about David. When David's army fought, there was a man in his army by the name of Uriah. What was Uriah? He was a Hittite. He wasn't a Jew. But yet he was following David. There was also others who walked with David who were not of the Jewish language. And we learned about that in the book of, in Kings, and I believe it's also in 2 Samuel. How when David fought wars, it talks about the children of, I forgot this man's name, but it's another name for Raul, which is another name for Jethro, who was Moses' father-in-law. Now, some of the relatives of Moses' father-in-law, Moses' in-laws, followed Moses through the wilderness too. So, you also had a band of what we will call black folks that followed Moses through the wilderness too. And we find those same people throughout Israel's history. Everything that came out of Egypt was not Hebrew. There were some of other nationalities that followed, because when God delivered the slaves. And Egypt had more than just Hebrew slaves.
Amen.
How can I qualify that? Well, let's back this up a little bit. There was a famine in the land of Canaan, correct?
Yeah.
Was it just Hebrews living in the land of Canaan during the time of Abraham? No, because during the time of Abraham, God had not just given all of that land to Abraham. Because Abraham had to purchase the land he buried Sarah on. So all of that was not his. It wasn't his. He did not have a lot of land at that time. Now, so when the famine hit Canaan, it wasn't just Jacob and his 69 that came out. Other people came out too. But the Bible tells us about Jacob and his 69 to 70 souls that came out of Canaan and went into Egypt. But guess what? There were other people in Egypt too that was trying to escape the famine. And it wasn't just the Hebrews who were slaves when there arose a Pharaoh that didn't know Joseph. There were many people that were slaves there. Now, because those people who were connected with the Hebrews, when God delivered the Hebrews, he delivered a lot of them too that was willing to go. Let's bring this down to now. No, take it on to Joseph, okay? God blessed Potiphar's house because of who? Joseph. God will bless those who are connected to you because you are connected to him.
Amen. Amen.
Do you get it? There are people who are blessed not because they're right, but because
That's
they're
right.
connected to you.
Hallelujah.
Hello.
That's right.
Because they're connected to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
Let's back this up a little bit. You could have family members that you did not birth into this world. But because they're connected to you, God delivers them. God helps them. God gives them favor.
Yes, he does.
Because they're connected to you.
Yes.
You can have an employer that because he's connected to you, God will bless him.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Lord.
God don't just bless you for you.
That's
he
right.
bless you to bless other people. And he blesses other people
Hallelujah.
because they're connected to you.
Thank you.
Hello, let me
Thank
go
you.
to something else. While we were yet sinners, Christ died. So, we were not Jews, but Christ still died. We were not of the seed of Abraham, but Christ still died. And because Christ died, and as many as received him, to them gave he power to become who? The sons of God. Does that make sense?
Amen.
It wasn't because we were right when we were still in sin.
That's right.
Christ died. So there were people in Egypt that were not Jews or Hebrews by birth, but because they was connected, they were delivered.
Hallelujah.
Because they were connected. I don't know why I'm going. Thank you,
Thank
Lord.
you, Jesus.
Because they were connected, they were delivered. Now,
12 and 38.
okay, that's it. Good. Okay, here we go. That was 12 and 38. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Lord. 12 and 38. And a mixed multitude went up with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. Now, it separates, that's like she said, 12 and 38. It separates mixed multitude, so you won't think the mixed multitude mean the people and the animals. Okay? A mixed multitude and, in conjunction, flocks and herds and very much cattle. So that mixed multitude dealt with people. People from other nationalities, people from other walks of life, people from other places, from other genealogy. Got out of Egypt also. And it ended up being, in, I'm so glad you're here, over 600,000 men. And that's in verse number 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dealt in Egypt was 430 years. So they was in Egypt for 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the same day it came to pass. So when that on the date of 430 years was expired, and if I'm not mistaken, then they be saying 430 years from the day they went into Egypt, they came out of Egypt. Make me think about when I first received the unction to come here. 7 years to the day. And I have the letter I wrote Pastor Rogers. 7 years to the day I told Pastor Rogers, or wrote to Pastor Rogers, that I felt that God was directing me to come here was when I came. 7 years to the day. To the day. And this is saying 430 years, even the self-same day. 430 years to the day they walked into Egypt, they walked out. Did you get it? On the anniversary, they walked into Egypt. 430 years, they walked out. Boy, God got a way of doing things. And then you wonder, well, why did it take so long for them to come out? It was to the day. Wow. Okay. Ooh, that makes me happy. Okay, so anyway, and it says, they left out of Egypt. Now, there's a verse that talks about how many of that came out. It was 600,000 men besides children, it says. And that would include women too, besides the women and children. Now, that was of the children of Israel, the 600,000. But then it was a mixed multitude. There was others too. Moses let a lot of people out of there. That was over 1 million people that came out. Whew. And so God is telling them, and this is of all of them. In chapter number 13, let's go, 12, eating. He talks about the unleavened. Okay, about not being leavened. Leaven is yeast. Yeast inflates, it blows up. I'm still in chapter number 12. Yeast gives the impression that you have more than what you have.
Right.
You cook. I don't cook well.
I don't
but
cook
you do. Okay? Brother Scott eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, thank the Lord, and now we go out to eat. But I have never mastered being a great cook. I'm gonna just be honest, okay? Come to my house, I might order something. But anyway, maybe not something, but that kick it to the side. So anyway, yeast. Yeast is symbolic of two things. And the first thing is what? Beware the leaven of the Pharisees. Leaven and yeast is the same thing. Take the leaven, the woman took the leaven, she hid it in her bread until everything was leavened and it rose. Yeast and leaven, symbolic of what?
Yeast, I believe yeast is in symbolic of sin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's symbolic of sin. And then when he said, beware the leaven of the Pharisees, it's also symbolic of the hypocrisy. Making you think you have something that you don't have. Puffed up. Okay?
Yeah.
So, God said, get all at least the 11 out your house. So when you come out of here, and I'm talking to somebody, you're going to come out with a clean heart. You're going to come out fully repentant. You're going to come out here fully repentant. Get the leaven out your house. Get the yeast out. And then also, yeast, it takes time for something. Yeast doesn't work like magic. It takes time. Okay? Yeah. So put yeast in bread, and I'm not a bread baker. You use a plain flour, the unleavened flour, okay? You put yeast in it. And putting yeast in unleavened flour is actually what makes self-rising flour. You put a little bit of yeast in it, okay? So you knead it. You're gonna pressure. Knead it is almost like when you knead dough, you're doing what?
Mixing it.
You're mixing it, you're pressing it, you're adding pressure to it, okay? Somewhat like the potter in the wheel, when the potter has the clay on the wheel, he's molding it, he's adding pressure to it, he's shaping it, okay? When a person's making bread, you're gonna knead it. When you put that yeast in, you knead that bread. But the deal is this, now, they're gonna get up and get out of Egypt. God said, get all of the leaven out of your house. You're not going to have time to put the leaven in your bread. Another thing yeast does is it causes things to spoil quicker.
Has an odor on it too.
Hmm?
Yeast has an odor.
It has an odor? Thank the Lord. You know what? Okay, does it stink or smell good?
It's got a
It
peculiar
smells
odor.
horrible.
It's got a
smells
peculiar,
horrible.
it's peculiar.
Yeah.
It's stinking. It's peculiar smell.
Okay, peculiar smell?
Very.
Don't smell
It
too
is,
much.
like that.
That might be where they got
God
that
said,
from,
get it
huh?
out.
The yeast infections.
It makes you very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
God said, get the yeast out. God said, I'm not even going to give you time to put yeast in your dough because you're going to get out there and you're going to get out quick. And you're going to go on a journey that's going to take some time. God knew it was going to take, now check this out, it took them 3 days to get from Canaan to Egypt. Joseph and his brothers, that was a 3-day journey. Why is it going to take them so much longer to get from Egypt back to Canaan? Same distance. But it's going to take, what was it said, would have been like a 3-month journey by that time from Canaan back to Egypt. I mean, from Egypt back to Canaan.
They went the long way through the Red Sea.
Okay, which would have did the other one. But then, because of something else, it ended up taking them 40 years.
Disobedient.
Because it's disobedient, it ended up taking them 40 years.
Absolutely.
So you say, how would
I
you?
thought it was 40 days. I didn't
I
think
think it was less.
really.
Okay, we'll look it up.
Yeah.
Okay, because I
Well,
think it was
long.
less than
It's a
40
long
days.
journey.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been a very, very, very long
Right.
journey.
No.
Okay, and that bread without the yeast in it would have possibly kept. Okay, so God knew what was coming. All right, so He tell them, you're not gonna leaven your bread because number one, you're gonna get out of here quick. Now, remember I made the statement a couple Sundays ago about deliverance, how we can pray for deliverance. God can grant deliverance, but the deliverance may not come the way we think it should have come. I can say, God delivered me from this job, and then I end up getting fired.
Oh,
I got
yeah.
delivered from the job,
Right.
but I don't like the idea of getting fired.
Okay.
Okay? But that was still my deliverance. Or you can say, God, I want a new car, then you get an accident.
Absolutely.
Okay?
And
You wasn't praying for an accident, you were just praying for a new car.
that's right.
But you end up getting in an accident.
Right.
And I always remember a testimony Bishop Anderson gave out when he first came to Savannah, how he needed money either to make a down payment or make a payment on Victory Drive 203. And he said he was just wondering how he was going to get the money, then bam, he got in an accident. And the money he got from the accident was the money he ended up using to make the payment on the church. I wasn't asking for an accident, but that's the way God gave it to him. Children of Israel wanted to be delivered. It would have been nice if Pharaoh would have said, good job, best 430 years of your life. Mine too. Hello. Pharaoh said, get your people and get them out of here. Quick. And they had to move quickly because God was going to